that wasn't the only thing worth noting from Monday's Raw. We also had not one but two big notable returns that were rumored in advance, but still cool moments to see nonetheless, including Asuka coming back for the first time in almost 9 months. I had read somewhere that we hadn't seen her on the show. I thought it was like August, but apparently she hasn't wrestled, according to someone, since Money in the Bank, which was only their second show back on the road, and that was in mid-July of last year. So over 9 months gone. She was injured for a while. I believe a shoulder injury. I don't know how long she's been cleared for, but she came back on Monday confronting the also returning Becky Lynch in a fine segment. So Asuka is back, getting the biggest reaction than anything else on the entire show. And it kind of served its purpose in rekindling that rivalry, giving Becky something to do outside of the title picture, giving Asuka her first feud upon returning. This was good. They've always worked well together. I'm not a fan of Asuka going back to the goofy dancing bullshit character that she was doing before. I've always felt like I'm in the minority on that. A lot of people seem to dig it. They loved it during the pandemic era. I thought it was fucking terrible. But I want to get your thoughts on the long-awaited return of Asuka to the Raw roster, how much it helps that women's division, and what you see her future kind of consisting of now that she's going back to, unfortunately not her roots, but the same character she was doing before she left.
Yeah, I like Asuka. I mean, she did good. I think we just, I guess, didn't. We were texting about it. We kind of just missed over the fact she did have an amazing pop. I mean, her music hit, and I mean, the crowd was up for that. So good for her. I mean, I think the crowd does care for her. I mean, she's done everything. I mean, she's won every kind of accolade you could possibly have in WWE, and it was great to see her come back. But once she started doing, like you said, the goofy screaming and pandering and just dancing and stuff, that's not the Asuka that I like. I like the NXT badass Asuka. I mean, obviously when she's a babyface, she's not going to have that same demeanor, but she can still be a good person, still be serious. I mean, the whole goofiness, I'm completely out on. But like you said, her and Lynch have history. I mean, Becky left, she got the belt from Becky, so kind of tying up those loose ends there because they haven't really crossed paths since then. So I do like that, but less goofy, Asuka the better.
So do we get the match between them at WrestleMania Backlash, or is this just a TV feud, you think, for now?
I don't know. I mean, I would say TV feud for now. I mean, the show's in a week. I'd be surprised if they just kind of rushed it then. But, I mean, I want to see Becky, so I'm down for it to be there. But
you can have the shirt by that point.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they should wait. I think it'd be kind of a rush if they did it there. But, I mean, I also don't know everything advertised. So, if needed, they can put it there. But, I mean, I think they could have a nice TV feud. I think I'll say this. It depends on if they do that match on the show. It really depends what they do. If they do Liv and Rhea on that show, or do they do Becky and Asuka? So I think you have to pick one or the other. I mean, Liv and Rhea, I would say, is probably more of a TV feud, but I mean, I'd be fine either way.
We could have a lot of different women's matches on that show. They did Bianca and Sonya on Raw this week. Do you think we get a rematch at the pay-per-view, or is that over?
It's interesting. I don't know. I mean, she beat her clean as a sheet. I mean, obviously she's an authority figure, but I mean, Adam Pearce seemed to be against her on that. So, yeah, I think we could maybe do something. Maybe we have some kind of like foolishness, and I don't know. Maybe Carmella and Zelina were involved, so maybe we get something with them as well. I don't know. Maybe you can get something there, but I would kind of stick away from that. I mean, Sonya lost clean as a sheet. She doesn't really have a hill to die on.
So the interesting thing is that we're getting this feud now with Becky and Asuka. Do you think they're priming Asuka to eventually contend for that Raw Women's Championship? And in my opinion is that I think they should. I think we're going to get Becky and Bianca again at some point, regardless of whether the roles are reversed or whatever the case might be. Babyface versus babyface, actually, instead of the first time where Becky turned heel during that match, seemingly, apparently, they told us. But anyway, so I would save that for later down the road. Maybe it's SummerSlam again or something like that. You could do it inside Hell in the Cell. I don't know if it would be overly effective to have Asuka be brought back to a pop like that and then have her lose. And I wouldn't have an issue with Becky losing. I think she's kind of bulletproof at this point. She's barely lost in the last 3 years. I think it's time to kind of help her, use her to elevate other women. Not that Asuka isn't already at that level. I mean, she's won everything there is to win, as you mentioned, but I don't know, she's one of those weird cases where she's not on the same echelon as the other four horsewomen, so having her beat Becky on a stage like Backlash or on Raw or whatever would be big for her. So I think Asuka should be next in line for a title shot, regardless of whether it's at Backlash or at the pay-per-view after that or whatever. I think a Belair and Asuka feud is probably the biggest feud that you can do with Asuka that we haven't seen yet on the main roster.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like you said, I think Becky at this point is bulletproof. If anything, you can have her lose again, and she kind of spirals more out of control. Like she didn't lose for 3 years. She loses 2 matches in a row. She kind of focus back in, switch her game up a little bit. So, like you said, her, Charlotte, even Sasha at this point. I honestly think Asuka at this point, maybe not her as well. I think those 3 are pretty much bulletproof at this point. I mean, they can lose, and I don't think anything's going to really change with their career. I think they're kind of made at this point. So I think if you're going to have Asuka contend for the belt, yeah, I would have her beat Becky.
Yeah, that's probably what I would do as well. I think it would make the most sense.